Hello, this is Ruth Brunner, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Lois and Bill Hettinger. Today is September 14th, 2019. And now, how long have you two been married?
64.
64 years. Watching this a little background, you both grew up in Windsor?
I did. He did in Eaton.
Oh, in Eaton. Okay. And what brought you to Windsor? Were you born there?
Yeah, she was.
Well, you were too, but
Yeah, I was
anyway.
born there, and then I went to Severance.
We
I went
met
to
because of the D
Eaton.
block in Windsor.
Okay. And what was that?
Well, as the teenagers got in the cars and they went around 2 or 3 blocks and turned around and just running around. That was the D block.
Dizzy block, huh?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was in Greeley, wherever. Everybody knew that D block.
Dizzy, yeah. Greeley had one down by the courthouse, and I think
Well, downtown. the old
downtown. Mm-hmm.
town. Yeah.
All right. So you met then. What were your family's occupations or early childhood life like for both of you? Did you have your uncle was,
No, your dad.
Well,
your dad did mail delivery?
yeah, and he took us, the younger kids, on the mail route a few times.
You'd get to go with him?
Yeah, one at a time. And Kenneth was older than I, and he always got his preference because there was 2 routes on going out north and then coming into town, and he'd have his lunch, and then he'd go out south and around and through Severance. And the post office there, we always fought over who was going to go on the second route because they had candy bars there, and my dad would buy us a candy bar, whoever was there. And like I said, my brother got his preference because he was older, and I had to go on as an early route.
And the other one. So Windsor had rural delivery, and then it also had, didn't have. If you lived in town, how was your
Post
mail
office
delivered?
there also in mailboxes.
Okay, and I know when in Windsor they didn't deliver to your street until what, the mid '80s or '90s? When did they?
Probably latter, because I never remember any delivery at the houses.
At the houses.
Yeah.
It was always in the mailboxes.
Yeah, and you had a dial to open the box.
Okay. So how many postmasters post delivery people did they have? Did your dad cover all of the delivery routes?
Around town, like I said,
Uh-huh.
on the outside rural.
Okay. And what year was that?
35 years starting when, I don't know. As long as I remember, he was a mail carrier.
A mail carrier. And then your uncle before that was the postmaster, or?
Yeah, and it was listed in one of these books
That was
somewhere.
your Uncle John.
Yeah. I just went through this one.
So what was the jobs of a postmaster? What all took place in the post office?
Was a box. That was all on that one flag.
On the one flag. Where is that flag now?
I don't know when is it.
Oh, that would
Somebody
be...
got it in my family, and I never found out where I went.
Yeah. So is that how many served? How many of your siblings survived then?
And right now, there's just my sister in Arizona and I, Nadine and I, are the only 2.
And she's at a ripe young age of 91. So.
Oh, are you going to tell your age?
No. If I would, I'd lie anyway.
Right.
Well, what year were you born?
33.
33, 34.
Okay. So in that period of 80-some years, how has life changed, would you say?
Actually, 64 years. How has it changed?
Well, since you were
64 of marriage, yeah,
Well, the
but
technical phones and everything they come up with, computer, everything, that I don't need in my life. I don't need any of that. I don't want to mess with it.
So when
Even
did you get
answering
TV?
Telephone. What?
When did you get your first TV?
somebody, my sister and her husband gave us the first TV when we were on Maple Street in Eaton.
Yeah,
when
but
we
at your
first
house,
married. Huh?
at your house, when did you get your first TV?
That was it. Maple Street, Eaton.
Okay.
That was our house, your house in Windsor. Didn't you
It was
have
when
TV?
I was 16, something like that.
Yeah.
So, so then, what did you do before you had TV for entertainment at home?
They had a lot of card games at our place. They had,
You'd have to talk to the older people that had
Yeah.
covered wagons too, what they had without TV.
but yeah,
They played games, they sang, all kinds of
like the Fred Bruners that probably weren't related to you, Fred and Manuel, but they were good friends of my folks. And
Any
so they
relation?
had a,
No?
no, they're not related. They had a weekly card game. They always got together and played cards.
What card game did they play?
They played Pinochle.
Ooh, that's a good game. That's a good game.
Yeah.
I love playing pinochle with my grandparents.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they played Pinochle, and then who's been in?
Did you go out dancing at the Legion? Did you go?
I wasn't a dancer. She's the
Not
dancer.
Legion so much, in the safari that was here in Fort Collins. His cousin, his second cousin,
Was married to the owner.
Bob Swear, owned a place there on, what street was that?
Pardon me?
Street.
What is that?
I don't
What street
know.
is the safari on?
I remember where that was. I
It's
do
a roller
remember
skating
that.
rink now or
They had a
something
dinner.
in that area.
Dinner club. And
Yes.
decorated like a safari. And,
yeah.
yeah. That was at least in the 70s. It's kind of out there, off of Mulberry.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
let's get on then. So how did you guys meet?
Well, I
Like
still
a
come
Disney
over to
block?
Windsor.
That D block.
D Block and then
My girlfriend now, I was a rainbow girl in Windsor. And one of them that was not a rainbow girl came up after we had had some kind of celebration there, or service. And we all had formals on, and that's when she come up and got me and pulled me out to meet him in the car with a few other guys. And ended up dating after that a little bit. Before he went in the Marines
oh, so Bill, you were in the Marines?
Couple of
in
years,
1952, 53.
53 to 55.
Did you serve on a ship or what?
No,
Marines.
I was,
Marines were not the Navy.
no. We went over, I was military police most of the time. And then we were headed over to Korea in, I'm trying to remember the month.
Well, let's not get into
Then
everything.
they signed the armistice,
Uh-huh.
so you know they've been over there ever since.
Yeah.
So we went to Japan instead. So I was military police there. When I got back home on November 20, on my 21st birthday, I hit the shore. And all my buddies went to muster out to go home, and they sent me to military police on Point Loma Navy Base. So that's where I exited then.
Where's that Point Loma?
Down Southern California, San Diego.
So how'd you find your way back to Lois then?
Wasn't easy.
He pictured me on the dock with my pink formal on. That's what he told me.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what were your family events? Oh, go ahead.
When he came home, he started dating my girlfriend.
Oh.
Wasn't a good friend of mine either.
Why?
We won't go and get into that.
See, I was in Windsor a lot because I had a couple of cousins there. I had the Hettinger family, Robert Hettinger and them, and Virgil Kraft, and Arlene Stromberger, all my cousins.
You don't have to get into all that.
That's why I come over and seen. First time I seen her, I said, "Gee, that lady looks like an angel."
Oh,
So that's the way that ended up.
oh.
She was.
That's
She was.
old bad news.
Yeah, that's old bad
I haven't
news.
heard that in
9/11.
ages.
All these catastrophes at 9/11.
11.
Going, just messing up. That wasn't nice, huh?
Yeah. So then after you were married, what holidays and events did you celebrate in your family or with your children or?
The Coleman
Well, when we got
family
together,
picnic.
we always sang at home without TV, that's what we did as a group, singing all different parts.
So you like to sing?
Oh, yes, we all sang in church and out where we were asked. And it was just a joy singing.
Yeah. Does
And
Bill
at
sing to
school,
you?
too. Only please release me in the shower when we got married, and then I thought many times, why didn't I?
So who's the biggest jokester of the two of you?
We don't joke.
You don't joke.
No jokes around here. Might kid a little
Who
bit.
tries to joke?
No, they have a family
I've heard all
reunion
those
every year.
before.
Tell them about your Coleman family reunion.
I don't have to. There's not much to say anymore. It's
So what
getting
was your maiden
smaller and
name?
smaller.
What was your maiden name?
Comin, Coleman.
Coleman. Okay. And your family moved to Windsor from where?
Well, my mom always said that she came to Colorado from Iowa.
Clarinda.
Iowa in a covered wagon as a young girl.
Oh wow.
She remembered that, she said.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So they met here in Colorado then.
And they met in Colorado. What traditions did you have with your children from your family that you kept with your children? Did you have any certain traditions? Singing?
I tried to get him to sing in the car like we always did with my family. And they wouldn't do it, and he didn't help me in that department either. So that was a disappointment in me.
Monotone.
Monotone.
I love to sing
Okay.
the old songs,
What was your favorite old song?
I don't know if I had a favorite. We were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
Just any of them. We sang them, all of them, in the school bus, in pep club, going to games and stuff.
Okay. Did you go to the Windsor Junior High and high school?
Junior high, high school.
Was it the one, do you remember when it burnt down?
That was after I graduated when it burnt down.
And
So anyway,
And when you was in high school, it was the old junior high now, right?
that's what she said.
yeah,
And
it's
it
now
The
had
old one.
Had that little gym they played in. With
They-
a little box.
yeah. They've closed that since then. So, what was your first experience with death or loss in your family? Did you have grandparents that were here close?
I
or-
never seen any grandparents. My oldest sister said she never remembered grandparents either, so they died early, I guess. So, the first was my brother died in World War II, and then my dad was next, I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a heart attack.
So, what kind of ideals and beliefs did you have about, church and religion and that in your family? Did you grow up with a certain church that you attended, or
Methodist Church,
the Methodist Church?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was Lutheran, and talking about deaths in the family, my grandparents were Crafts, Krft, and my grandfather, they owned a farm, and they were in the old days. They had dugouts where they stored their potatoes and everything, and he was in there, and the truck driver backed into him and crushed him to death. My grandmother lived just behind Lois's parents, and there was one red light, and she walked to the street and got run over in Windsor and got killed.
On 7th Street there?
Yep, at a young age.
There was no light there that I remember.
And I still can't believe it, because in those days, they didn't have cars that fast, I don't think,
Yeah.
because they were both killed young. I was about, I was probably about 4 or 5. So that had to be in, what, 36, 7, 8, somewhere in there.
What was Windsor like in that time in the 30s?
Oh, my goodness.
Pretty much the same as it is now. The house I was born in on Main Street is still there next to the filling station and the light.
Oh, okay.
A big gray house.
Right next to what's the 7-Eleven now on the corner of 7th and Main.
Yeah.
Was the hospital open there that was on 7th on the other side?
Yeah. When she was there,
There was a hospital right off of 7th
across the street.
Yeah.
Did you ever, what was that hospital like?
Well, wasn't the greatest. There was another one down a few blocks and a block behind the First National Bank was a hospital there too, but not a lot went on as far as surgery and stuff like that went on in those days. Probably lucky to have a tonsillitis thing.
Who were some of the early doctors when you were there?
There was Bart's and
Dr. Sabin.
Dr. Sabin.
I was the first person that was born, Dr. Sabin. And he had, you know, like the elevator had these receipts for grain. That's what he had my name on their receipts.
All kinds of little books. He wrote his records. I was going to ask you where the museum went to from above the city hall.
Because they had it all. They had all that in there.
All the records?
Yep.
Well, okay, I can tell you that they are. I'll tell you that when we're not on film. But it's still stored up there. You just can't go up and see it. And so that's something to look for. So they have all of Dr. Sabin's. They used to have a Dr. Sabin office. That would be something cool to put back.
Well, we had a story where we went up there and we seen Dr. Sabin's records in all those little books in a box. And Billy says, I wonder about if there's a record of me being born. And I said, you would never find it. And he found it, picked up the first book, and
first receipt.
Said, baby boy.
How many pounds were you, Bill?
Oh, shoot, I don't remember.
We'll have to go look, huh?
Probably 7 pounds.
So where did Dr. Sabin do his deliveries? At home, in his office?
I was delivered in...
It was mostly at home that they did in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mildred what did Mildred do for you? She
was a receptionist, that was all.
I know that. I thought she taught you piano or something.
Not piano.
Oh, Mildred Sabin, his sister.
She did.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
together
She
all the time.
directed choir at the Methodist Church quite a few years.
Yeah, they lived right across from her
And
house.
organ playing.
Yeah. So their house is on Main Street
Directly across from
where she lived.
Is
between 7th and
brick
6th.
house.
It's a brick house
on Main Street.
on Main Street. Did he have his office in there at all? Or?
No, it was downtown.
Where was it downtown?
Seemed like it was right behind the First National Bank, too. somewhere in that
someplace
area.
in that area. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Good old days.
Good old days when.
They always said that, but I don't know why.
Did any of your family members have any sayings or things that you remember them repeating to you, or in German, or in little?
Not in our house.
Not in our house, we did. We had German, and then it got.
Nothing that I remember or anything.
What were some of the sayings they had?
Oh my goodness.
Achtelieber?
It to leave it Highland, yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. Oh, there's some other ones. The mind is going right now.
My grandma was German, not German-Russian, and she had all sorts of sayings.
Yeah.
Like, a penny saved is a penny earned, or
Well, yeah, we
too
heard
many
that
cooks
everywhere.
spoil the broth.
But
And
the thunder was a dirty word or something like that.
all right. So, what were your typical routines and weeks like, or days like? Was there certain days of the week you did certain tasks, or certain tradition?
Probably the Saturday night bath, starting with the youngest in a tub in front of the oven in the kitchen, of course. And we've heard different stories that other people had multiple children also. And I always started with the youngest. Yeah.
Saturday night bath.
Yeah, and if they were on the oldest of the family then, it got pretty dirty toward the end.
Yeah.
Did you have to boil your water and carry it in, or did you have
Just pour in more hot water most times.
just keep adding?
Not exactly emptying any of it, really.
Not to change the subject too much, but the way they swore. My grandfather had thunder wieder noch mal. That was swearing. Means thunder weather again.
Yeah.
Their swearing those days weren't too
We won't
shabby,
talk
but
anymore about that.
yeah, we quit that one.
Oh well, I don't know. That's not too bad a
Yeah,
swear.
we had those little round. That's what we bathed in. Yep.
Did you
And then the
little
oldest
pan?
one always got the last.
did you
The
have
little kids got bathed first, and the oldest one had to. Three be in the same bathtub. The same water.
Wash
The youngest one got it first. Yeah, wash. That's what they were a wash tub.
So did you have chickens out back, or a milk cow, or in town, or was that allowed?
milk cow or
They did.
goats.
Okay.
You had to have goats for what was it? Somebody in the family had to have goat milk. Wasn't it?
We didn't have had to anything,
It
Oh.
was
but it was somebody had given it to my dad, I suppose, on the mail route.
Yeah, and when I didn't live on the farm, we lived in town, I worked on the farm.
So what kind of work and crops did you have to take care of?
No, we had all the regular ones. Sugar beets, alfalfa hay, corn, beans, pinto beans. That's about it. That kind of row crop. I think same thing now, huh?
Same thing, they rotated them in that.
Only the sugar beets is different because, well, they used to have the factory there, and I don't know if anybody raised sugar beets around here anymore or not.
Not
Up
as
around
many.
Wellington, there's some, but they have
Yeah.
to ship it clear out to Fort Morgan or wherever it is.
So, how did you have certain days? What was Sunday like? Because I think Sundays have changed. And did you have traditions on Sundays and things that you did?
Chores and
Well,
church.
Church in the earlier days, though, I heard that they always took their picnic lunch with them. And after church, then they ate the lunch together, and then they were there all day, having church after that even.
They who? Talking about you.
Everybody in the church
Oh,
congregation.
So the Methodist Church is on the National Historic Register for its architectural building and design. What do you remember about? I mean, the Methodist Church. The building there is the one that you attended, or was there one before
That's
that?
the one that's still there.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember when it was built, or what?
No, it might be in one of these books.
Yeah.
But they always had trouble off and on with the organ, messing up with one key or something was off or something. They had to get somebody in to repair that occasionally. It was the gold pipes.
Yes.
Still there.
They restored it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and then the roof would leak occasionally because it was flat roof or something on top.
It has beautiful stained glass windows too,
Yes,
and a dome.
still there. They've had those repaired occasionally, I guess, too.
When we moved to Windsor, it just happened to be that there was 5 of us in our family, and we were mainly the choir. Who else was there?
They said when the Hettingers didn't show up,
There wasn't no choir.
nobody was there.
It wasn't a big choir, just us 5, and
So,
Mildred. I can't remember.
what other musical groups and singers were popular?
You say what?
What other musical groups or singers were popular that you listened to on records or radios?
Oh,
Well, we probably listened to all of them on the radio. You had different music going on.
who, like Eddie Arnold and those guys? I don't know who was before them.
That wasn't even in our childhood.
Lawrence Welk was in mine.
Lawrence Welk.
Yeah, I suppose, but multiple ones that sang, everybody sang all the songs. It wasn't especially one particular song put out by one person. They all sang them when they were a good popular song.
Okay. So did you go on to any education after high school, or that led to your careers after you came back from the Marines?
No,
Neither one of us.
Okay.
no.
So what did you do in your adult life? You worked for the school system?
I was dedicated to be a homemaker, and I kept house and waited for the children to come along, and then when they got in kindergarten, that's probably when I started working in the public school as a cook. And that was the start of cooking, I guess. And I was actually multiple jobs that I had through the years, but basically cooking.
Well, I remember the food was wonderful at Park School, and what was the things that you made, or some of the favorite foods that the kids?
Well, most
students.
of it was casserole and home cooking, like, whereas nowadays it's more like hamburgers and hot dogs and stuff like that. I heard one teacher say to the other kids, "I don't know what you don't like about the food at school, because I think it's wonderful." I heard him say.
Yeah. You made your own bread?
Yes, and there'd be 5 in the kitchen usually, and we'd all learn each job, the baking and the main dish, and so if anybody was out, somebody would know how to do that job. Salads, whatever.
Did you make any traditional or ethnic food that was just for Windsor, or did you have to follow a plan that came from the state government?
No, not government help. We had food that they did bring in, meat and stuff, turkey.